When it comes to kitchen knives, you're no doubt familiar with the most common ones. I'm talking about the standard chef's knife, a paring knife, and a bread knife. And since you're watching this video, you probably also know about less common ones like the Santoku knife and the cleaver. But the world of kitchen knives is wide and can even get a little weird. Yet all have their purpose, and with a bit of know-how can help you be a better cook and bring more enjoyment to your cutting and slicing tasks. Today I'm going to introduce you to 6 knives you might not know about and how to use them. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. And today we have a knife-tastic episode because we are talking all about knives and not the common ones. These are kind of the weird ones, yet they're really cool. And after watching this episode, you're gonna know what they are and how to use them. So let's start with the biggest one, the scimitar. Look at this beauty. So yes, this is a scimitar. This is the largest knife in my collection, and it probably will be in yours too if you get one of these things. And well, you might know a scimitar as a type of old sword, and well, this is basically what this thing is. It's just a really big knife, and as you can see from this big slab of meat in front of me, well, it's for cutting meat, it's for butchering. Now, honestly, I don't use this a whole lot because I don't do a whole lot of butchering meat. When I was in culinary school, this is what we used to cut up what are called primals. Those huge sections of meat that are cut and then put into smaller portions for like retail sales or for cooking smaller pizzas, such as this roast in front of me. But still, even with a smaller cut of meat, one of these knives can be really helpful because it's got a long blade, and that means that you can make one big slice without a whole lot of like going back and forth. Big blade equals big slices. So let me show you how this works. Okay, I've got a top round in front of me. This is gonna make a great like pot roast or stew. And by the way, if you've never made pot roast before and you have an Instant Pot, I have a great video on how to make it quickly and easily in one of those. But anyways, we're gonna cut this one up. And with a knife like this, what you can do, well, ideally, is you can make just 1 or 2 big slices. With a smaller knife, you might have to do a lot of, angling to get it, but as you can see, the blade of this is, well, it's bigger than this roast. So what you can do is you can just kind of go along and make one nice big slice. If you have to do a little going back and forth, that's fine, but see, we now have this nice slice, this nice portion, and this is the kind of knife that we can use to do that. So again, we can just do this, and with just 1 or 2 slices, we can just get this guy nice and cut up, nice and portioned out. And then again, we can also cut it into smaller slices, again, really easily because of this long blade, just like this, to make like portions for stew meat or whatever. So this is what a scimitar is. Again, I don't use this a whole lot, and it's probably a little duller than I want, to be honest with you. But if you do a lot of butchering, a lot of meat cutting, big pieces, this is going to be a really handy knife to have in your collection. Our next knife is this little guy. It's a type of paring knife, but it's known as a sheepsfoot knife or a flat cut knife, and sometimes they're called vegetable knives. Now, most paring knives mimic the shape of a chef's knife with an angle that is ideal for rock chopping, as you might remember from my video on a chef's knife versus a Santoku knife. But we don't really rock chop with a paring knife, we cut or slice similar to a Santoku. And like a Santoku knife, the sheepsfoot paring knife has a straight edge that's thin and very sharp. So that makes a knife like this ideal for small prep work, maybe cutting up small vegetables or small herbs, such as these chives, because you get more surface area of the blade against the board. So you can see how easily this just chops up these chives. And again, all of this blade is against the board. There's no real weird angle or anything like that. This would also be good for mincing garlic. Again, you get that nice chopping motion with this entire blade on the surface of the board. Okay, our next knife is also a paring knife, but well, this is completely different from that Sheepsfoot knife. It takes the angle to extreme. This is called a bird's beak knife, or sometimes a turning knife, or a tourneau knife. And as you can see, it has this very rounded edge, and well, there's good reason for that. So you don't necessarily cut or chop with a bird's beak paring knife, but this is for use in special applications for detail work with things like fruits or maybe this ginger here. And the idea is, with the shape of this blade, it can go around the contours of whatever you're working with. So for example, if I wanted to peel this garlic, I could just take the knife blade and I could just go all around it a little bit easier than with a traditional paring knife, because the blade of this knife, well, it conforms better to this ginger root. Same goes for this kiwi that I have here. Yet again, you can use this very sharp blade to just kind of dig into the skin and go around it, because the blade conforms better to the shape of this kiwi. Now here again, in all honesty, I don't use this paring knife a whole lot. I had to get it when I was in culinary school because I think we were doing like tourneed potatoes or something fancy like that. You know, one of those things that takes a long time to make and real detail work. But if you've ever wondered what a weird little knife like this looks like, it's called a bird's beak paring knife, and well, you might find it useful. If you have one of these things, I want to know what you use it for. Put that in the comments below. I have a confession to make, and that it's, well, I love this little knife more than I probably should. This weird little thing is in fact a knife. It's called a sandwich spreader, and well, it takes the place of both like a regular knife that you might scoop things out with, or a spoon for that matter, and a knife that you might cut things with. Perfect, in other words, for sandwiches. So the way it works is, well, you basically have this big paddle here, and you can just use it to get into your jar of peanut butter or whatever you want. You can even flop it all over your cutting board. I'll clean that up later. But what you do is you can just spread your peanut butter or jelly or whatever you're doing right over the bread here, just like this. And you know, this might be where you normally have to go get another knife to cut it, but well, with this serrated edge, you can just spread and cut, and then you have your perfect sandwich to eat. The sandwich spreader. I love this thing. Speaking of bread, you know the problem with regular serrated bread knives? Well, it's that when you cut bread, you can bang your fingers against the board that you're cutting the bread on. So the solution is one of these. This is an offset bread knife, and well, it might just change your life the way you cut bread, because you're never going to bang your knuckles. And it's called offset because, well, as you can see, the handle is higher than the blade. So when you're cutting bread, you are never ever going to bang your knuckles against the cutting board, because your knuckles and your fingers are above the blade. Again, this is such an ingenious type of knife. It is the offset bread knife, and well, they really don't cost much more than a regular bread knife. And if you're ever frustrated with your fingers hitting the board or just want something cool and different, well, the offset bread knife might just be it. And last but not least, we have this little guy. If this looks familiar, yes, this was the answer to last week's culinary trivia. It is a grapefruit knife, and several of you got this correct. You knew exactly what it is. Now, you don't use this knife to actually, cut the grapefruit in half. Bonus tip, a bread knife, such as this offset one, is great for cutting a grapefruit in half. But once this grapefruit is cut in half, that's where this little guy comes in, and let me show you how it works. So no, this knife blade is not broken. It's supposed to be bent like this, and the reason is, well, what it has is it helps you get in and segment the fruit from kind of this porous skin of the grapefruit. Now, yeah, you could also use a grapefruit spoon for this as well and get in there and get those segments out. But this little knife is fun, and once you have one of these, you can use any spoon that you want. It takes a little bit of practice. You just kind of cut around these just like that, and then you can either, pop them out with the knife here, or you can use a spoon for this. So this is a grapefruit knife, and it is for sectioning out these little pieces of fruit out of the membranes of a grapefruit. So if you don't have a dedicated grapefruit spoon, or you just want another cool little knife in your collection, well, the grapefruit knife is it, and you can tell your friends that no, it's not bent or broken because of an accident. This is the way they are. So there you go. Those are 6 weird knives that maybe you've never seen before, or, well, if you have, you've always wondered what they are. Now you know, and now you know how to use them. My question for you is, do you have any of these in your own collection, and what do you like about them? Do you use them often? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, this week's show and tell is something different but very cool, and the product it produces is great. This is an Ecoviva reverse osmosis water filter. They asked if I wanted to review it, and as somebody who drinks like gallons of water a day, I said, sure, absolutely. And I can tell you the water it produces is amazing. It tastes as good as if it came out of a bottle. Now, there are a few little finicky things about this that I'm not so hot on, and they mainly involve the way you have to fill up the water tank. This back panel can be a little bit hard to get off. And then, well, there's like 2 different reservoirs, and one is like the expelled water and one is for fresh water. It's a little bit confusing, but I'm getting the hang of it. And what I can tell you is that, well, ultimately the water it produces is, like I say, amazing. And it's pretty cool. You can actually see kind of in real time the total dissolved solids that are in your water and what it's purifying. Really cool stuff. And again, it makes great water. So if you're interested, I'll put a link to them below. This is Ecoviva's reverse osmosis water filtration unit. Thanks for letting me check it out. I think it's a really, really good unit as far as what the water produces. And well, I've been drinking a lot more of it lately. So thanks for letting me try out your unit. Okay, trivia time. We are headed back to the produce aisle because, well, yes, this is produce. It's not the latest sporting equipment. What is this thing? I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's huge. If you know what this thing is, or you have a guess, put it in the comments below, and I will of course let you know the correct answer in the next episode. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, I hope you want to cook.